Daniel Cormier is an ex-UFC fighter and a Hall of Famer. In his time, he was the Ultimate Fighting Championship light heavyweight and heavyweight champion. Currently, he works as a commentator in the UFC, but he may move to WWE soon. In this video, we'll be taking a look at Daniel Cormier making an appearance in the world of wrestling as a special guest, so stay tuned. First off, Daniel Cormier serves as a referee. Daniel Cormier has left the world of UFC fighting and other athletic professions, or at least that's what we thought. While it still hasn't been confirmed whether he'll fight again or not, he made his return in the form of a special guest referee. The Hall of Famer judged the match between Seth Rollins and a former UFC fighter, Matt Riddle, in the fight pit. The match took place at the Extreme Rules pay-per-view that took place in Philadelphia on the 8th of October. The announcement was first made on Twitter by Ariel Helwani, and soon after, on Saturday, WWE officials confirmed the return to MMA fighting. While talking about his new refereeing job, he said that he was going to be fair, honest, and impartial. He said that he wouldn't be dealing with anyone who behaves badly toward him. The law was called in, and Daniel was looking to deliver. He promised to enforce the rules to the fullest extent, and with every part of himself. Daniel grew up as a big fan of pro wrestling, and idolized many of the performers by the time he started his own career. He then proceeded to find his place among some of the best freestyle wrestlers in the world. He is a 2-division UFC champion and has 2 appearances in the Olympics. These appearances eventually led him to MMA. As his UFC career came to an end, he got into talks with WWE professionals about potentially taking on an on-air commentary role. Next up, the rivalry between Rollins and Riddle. This led to him choosing to stay with the UFC full-time. He now serves as one of the lead commentators on quite a lot of the biggest broadcasts. These include his go-to John Anik and Joe Rogan fights, alongside some others in the pay-per-view events. Now he's finally got the chance to step into the fight pit, even if he's not the one fighting. This match contains some special rules where the ring ropes are replaced with a steel cage. A catwalk is also placed along the top. It only ends if the opponent can't get back onto their feet or if they admit defeat, that is, submission. The match was between Riddle and Rollins. These two have quite the rivalry going on, with tensions at their peak the last several months. One interview focusing on this even paid homage to the infamous moment involving Daniel and John Jones, his longtime rival. This interview took place ahead of the UFC in 2015, their first ever meeting. Before moving his career to WWE, Riddle was a mainstay and had a 7-3 record in the UFC and even appeared on The Ultimate Fighter, but he was released from the UFC after he failed several drug tests for marijuana and decided to turn towards professional wrestling. He soon became one of the biggest names in the industry. Daniel's job was to keep peace among both opponents. It is common for UFC fights to get out of hand, especially when there is a rivalry involved. Thirdly, he may do more projects with the WWE. Daniel admitted that he was hoping to be able to get more work done with the WWE after the Rent debut, but he said that he needed to take care of some business before he decided on what he'll be doing from here on. The Hall of Famer reflected on the match on his ESPN show and talked about how he felt about the experience in detail. He's been a big fan of professional wrestling for a long time. Daniel knew the chance given to him was precious. He's already had preliminary conversations with the officials of WWE on whether he will be doing more work for the organization in the future. Though he's looking forward to it, he has set a condition. He said that when he came home from the match, his partner at his barbershops was there and told him that the former UFC fighter looked so much bigger on TV. Daniel told of the events that transpired laughing and said that he responded with the famous, "The TV adds a few pounds," also mentioning that the stripes of the referee outfit didn't help his appearance. While he didn't seem to mind his friend's words, he said that the visual was exactly why he had decided to lose weight before starting to work for the WWE. He promised that as soon as he will get in shape, he'll try to take on more opportunities in the WWE. Finally, Cormier was nervous during the fight pit match. Daniel Cormier is a former UFC light heavyweight and heavyweight champion. The 43-year-old has participated in many UFC UFC main events and has been on the headset for many others. So most people would think him a pro when it comes to standing in front of a large audience of thousands of people. But apparently, he was sweating during his recent appearance on WWE, in which he was a referee for the Fight Pit match between Matt Riddle and Seth Rollins. While talking with ESPN MMA, he said that he was in the back and he was nervous. He started forgetting the match and was worried that he'd forgotten the pin. He kept having to ask questions and was incredibly nervous. The ex-fighter explained that his nerves calmed down when he walked out the curtain into Philadelphia's Wells Fargo Arena. He said that it was fun and the energy of the crowd was second to none. Cormier said that he'd fought in front of larger crowds than the 15,000 at Philadelphia, but back then, he just had to fight. What was tricky for him was remembering all the points in the match, and later on, the crowd's energy also turned against him. He said that there were fans heckling him, calling him Carl Winslow, or saying, "DC, climb the cage." He said that there was no way he was going into the cage with those guys. Cormier said that he enjoyed the crowd's energy and the intense moments of the match, but his favorite part was that he got to referee. Now, in other news, first off, Uriah Hall says that it's ridiculous that ring card girls get paid more than fighters. Uriah Hall has quit the UFC, but he is willing to participate in it again if he is paid for his effort. The 38-year-old decided to walk away in August 2022, a month after a difficult unanimous decision loss against Andre Muniz. The Ultimate Fighter 17 runner-up is now taking part in the exhibition boxing match. He will go against Le'Veon Bell, the NFL free agent running back. While talking about his pay in boxing, Hall said that it was okay. He said that the UFC opened and extended his career, and he was able to get a great deal, but everyone has a different contract, and many things aren't fair. He gave credit to Jake Paul for speaking out on unfairness to athletes, but he said that nothing had been done about that yet. Hall said that he knew some fighters who made less money than ring card girls, and called it ridiculous, but said that at the end of the day, UFC is a business. Next up, Holland turns down Chimaev's post-match training invitation. Kevin Holland turned down Khamzat Chimaev's training invite after their catchweight fight at UFC 279. Holland had accepted the match on short notice after Khamzat got pulled from his welterweight fight against Nate Diaz after his UFC 279 weight miss. The matchup was won by Boers through submission, submitting Trailblazer with a Darce choke only 2 minutes after the start of the round. Holland said that it was more probable for the universe to change and for everyone to start looking like cartoon characters than it was for him to train with Chimaev. He said that he had no idea what Chimaev was thinking, and that it might have been because he asked him how many times a week they worked wrestling. But he was only trying to steal the recipe for his team, and Chimaev shot a fast shot. Holland said that he would never train with another squad other than his team. Finally, Strickland won't do any more interviews because he isn't stable enough. Sean Strickland, a UFC middleweight contender, said that he wouldn't give any more interviews after his controversial podcast appearance. He recently joined Brendan Schaub, a UFC fighter turned comedian, in filming an episode of his Food Truck Diaries. Schaub hasn't released the entire episode yet. After the 31-year-old finished filming the podcast, he announced that it would be his last interview for a long while because he wasn't stable enough to speak. He wrote in an Instagram post that he just finished a Brendan Schaub podcast and that it might be the last one he does because he isn't stable enough to speak. He said that after a while, he started advocating for puppy murder and said that there would be no further requests. Strickland has risen to become one of the most controversial stars in the UFC. That's a wrap for this video. What did you think about Daniel's return? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.